This morning, Charles Walker's attorney argued in the 6th District Court of Appeals that his client deserves a new trial. Walker, along with Brent Kohlhofer, were convicted of killing 2 teens in late 2022. Our 11 Investigates team has covered this case extensively. Lead investigator Brian Duggar was in the courtroom and has more on what happened today.
Yeah, Don Eames continues to be the heart of arguments for new trials for Kohlhofer and Walker. In the days after the murder, Eames texted his girlfriend saying he couldn't believe that she left him in the house where the teens had died. The text message was not allowed in trial, with the judge ruling it was hearsay. But Michael Stahl, Walker's attorney, told the 3-judge panel that it wasn't, that Eames put himself at legal risk by even saying it.
This is actually more than a confession, because if it's true that those 2 young men died at 507 Maumee, the entire story is undeniable. What Charles Walker is accused of didn't happen.
One of the arguments is that no one knew the boys were dead at the time of the text. The state's attorney, Evie Jarrett, said others did know, and Eames could have learned this information from them.
There were other individuals who knew what had happened, and we know that because of the testimony of Cruz Garcia, who said, the day after this happened, I went over to talk to Walker, and I said, hey, what happened? And Walker said, essentially, these boys took it to their grave.
Now, we talked to Walker last week, and he denied that conversation happened.
They took it to the grave, stuff that he said, they took it to the grave. What did they take to the grave? They didn't take nothing from me. They didn't take nothing from Brent. What did they take? Cruz's stuff to the grave? Corbin's stuff to the grave? Like, they didn't take none of our stuff to the grave. Like, nothing was taken from us. We had no vendetta towards any of them.
Jarrett said there were other texts from Eames that said the boys were alive when they left the house. She said the judge found the texts weren't consistent.
The judge had arguments with respect to, she had these series of text messages and said they don't even line up. She recognized the inconsistency between these communications that Don Eames made. And then there was a lot of discussion about the evolving nature of Don Eames' statements. And at that point, the judge said, okay, this is not reliable at all.
Now, an interesting note about Eames is that Sergeant Roy Kennedy testified that Eames is the only person among the 11 people convicted in this case who he actually believed. Now, attorneys for Walker and Kohlhofer are hoping that the 6th District judges feel it was a mistake to not let Don's text message be heard by the jury. Now, but it could be several months before we actually hear their decision. Reporting in studio, this is Brian Duggar for 11 Investigates.